We've got a new episode of Legends and Leaders, and today it's great to have Gene here. Gene, you're somebody that's created an incredible avenue in music with rock and roll, brought a lot of personality to the space, especially just through the outfits that you guys had and just the way that you communicated through
Have,
music.
just a second. Have,
Of course.
because in many ways, what looks like the death knell of the caterpillar, because you see a cocoon,
Yeah.
is really the phoenix rising out of the ashes. Kiss is about to uh, be born in ways that nobody could have imagined in media that never existed. So the costumes are alive and well, movies, cartoon shows, just crazy stuff that are going on now. And we'll see the light of day shortly. I don't want to say how long. We just came back this weekend from Las Vegas, where the Kiss Cruise was really a collection of thousands of Kiss fans who took over every square inch of the Virgin Hotel. Every room was populated by, gee, you can't see my ponytail or anything back there. Every room in the hotel was taken up by Kiss fans. People forget the word fan came from the word fanatic.
Mm.
And we had so much fun, a lot of stuff. So this is just the beginning.
Yeah. So I want to kind of go back to your origins. Like, how did you get interested in music originally? When did you decide I want to become a musician?
You know, when my mother and I legally, because there's a difference, emigrated to America, the first music I heard pre-Beatles, we came here in 1958, was Chuck Berry and Little Richard, black music. It was just starting to break through the racist wall of black music isn't played on white radio. And sweet little 16, a wop babaloo, a wop bam boom. For a guy, for a little kid who didn't speak English, it was all of a sudden, your hips are, you sort of your body starts moving in ways you never imagined. And Life is Strange, one of the first songs I ever heard, or the first music certainly, was Chuck Berry. And irony of all ironies is the Berry family asked me to do the eulogy at Chuck Berry's funeral. I was the only person of note there, McCartney and Keith Richards. None of the guys showed up. I don't know why, because without Chuck Berry, there wouldn't be Beatles, Stones, and Hendrix, and whoever. In either case, the first music I heard was black music, rhythm and blues, rock blues, whatever you want to call Chuck, with white music paled by comparison. It was saccharine sweet. And, the I was a teen angel, can you hear me? Teenage. But, as soon as you started hearing it, and that it went all the way to Chubby Checker. I was a major fan of Chubby Checker.
Mm.
Born Ernest Evans, he was a chicken plucker out of Philly. And I met Chubby and told him more than he knew about himself. Cameo Parkway Records, actually Parkway Records, his two producers were Cal Mann and Dave Appel, and all. He was just like, well, how do you know this stuff? When I love something, you can't just look at a tree above ground. You have to understand how the roots hold up that immense top, right? The
Yeah.
magic of a tree, yes, you get fruit and everything. The magic are the roots because that little thing holds up everything. Everybody looks up at a skyscraper and they wonder at the skyscraper. No, bitch. The wonder is the basement and the first floor because they hold up the entire skyscraper that's above it. The wonder are the roots. Anyway, I digress because I love the sound of my own voice. So the first music I heard was that, but the life altering event happened to me, like many people of my age group, the Beatles. When
Mm.
I saw the Ed Sullivan show as a kid, and I was working all the time, I came home from work, even on Sundays, my mother laid out the frozen TV dinners. Kids have no idea what that is. Peas, mystery meat, and some mashed potatoes. But I loved it. And the Beatles came on, and it changed my life. I'd never see, and I never looked back.
Mhm. So you had this interest that happened from the Beatles, and then when did you start to like actually take it seriously of like, hey, I can build a band,
Oh,
I could like figure this out.
I didn't think of a band. I just thought, oh my God, those girls are screaming, like somebody's stepping on their feet. It didn't happen. We say, and here comes the elephant that sits on stage. By the way, that actually happened. And the puppet guy singing, when says, how do you? So they had all kinds of stuff for everybody. And then, these guys came out and started doing that. I didn't know anything except the cameras turned to the audience, and the girls are like holding their hair. I'm going, what is that? I want that. And I must have been 13 and a half or so. So I didn't think of forming a band. I just said, how do I get some of that? And then the shortcut was at that point, I didn't play an instrument. I immediately, my mother, bless her, bought me a guitar, as it happens, an SG Standard, a Gibson, a high-end guitar. My
Yeah.
mother worked at a sweat factory, and the first chords I started to learn were on a decent guitar. And the quickest way to get to, the sugar, that the urge to merge and all that stuff, was to be in a band. And I actually went through the beginnings. Before I played an instrument, I was just a singer, one of two singers actually, in the Long Island Sounds, kind of a clever name. And then we became the Love Bag,
Hmm.
which I guess meant condom. Ooh, and we did covers and even an original song or two. One of them became She, that was recorded by Kiss, that I co-wrote with Stephen Carnell, the guitar player. And being in a band, I thought, wow, this is cool, because all of a sudden girls are, rub up against you the way catnip does it to cats, and nobody asks you what star sign you are, not on the first date, don't touch me there. It's like a license to thrill. You're in a band, you can get away with anything. And it doesn't work with dentists and lawyers. Oh, you're a dentist? Oh, here, have some of this. No, not going to happen. But if you're in a band, later on, it became so silly that you could wake up next to a girl or two whose names you never bothered to learn.
Huh.
What other job gives you that?
Yeah, you're right. So how did you learn how to make music? Did you just have like, I mean, you had some natural talent, but you also worked at it. Like, how did you figure out your style, where you wanted to be?
I think all that stuff falls short when you try to verbalize it.
Hmm.
Like when I fell head to toe, whatever that phrase is, for Shannon after living with her for 29 years, having two kids together, and still being a bad boy. We've been together now for 40, add on another, 41 years.
Wow.
But the first 29 years, it was just, okay, we're together. I was not married. I didn't want to get married, didn't want to have kids. I didn't want anyone to ask me, where are you going? Where am I going? Who wants to know? I'm free. But then when the heart connects to your crotch, something else happens. Mind, body, soul all connects. Before then, the male of the species is just ruled by Mr. Happy dangling between his legs. We have blood, but not enough blood for two heads. Once the blood rushes down there, we make bad decisions.
Mm.
I try to explain it to young ladies, and I have a daughter, of course, who takes no shit from no one. She is the alpha female of us all. And I said, imagine the most sensitive part of your body gets aroused every step you take because it keeps rubbing against your pants like, ooh, ah, ooh, ooh. Kind of like the man-eating plant in Little Shop of Horrors. Feed me. Ah, da, 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 da. And later on, you find out scientists say that the male of the species thinks about sex every 8 seconds. And the females go, that's ridiculous. Well, sure, it's ridiculous because your stuff is hidden in the cave of love. You don't even, you got to go and find it, left turn. And of course, every girl's different. That's why the alphabet was invented. A, B, oh, C. Yeah, that's the magic thing, C. So women are far more complex. We are, as everybody knows, I'm hungry, I eat, I'm tired, I want to go to sleep. And women still don't understand when we talk,
Mhm.
we mean what we say. How do you like the dress? It's nice. It's nice. What's wrong with it? No, no, it's nice. What did I do? Did I why doesn't he love me as much as he did? What do I do? Do I have my mother's hips? And go, well, boop, 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 boop. What later on, years later, she goes, no, he actually meant it's nice.
Yeah.
Nice means good. How was the food? Good. Good. Is there anything else you want to say about it? Good. I don't speak female. Let's stop it there before I get killed by half the world's population. I learned a long time ago, Shannon, who I worship the ground, um, still, I married her twice. I'm going to
Mhm.
marry her again, and I'm going to continue marrying her because she put up with my sorry ass for decades. And I wake up in the morning, and the first thing I say is, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
And then it all works much better. Everything's my fault, and it's okay.
Mhm. Like how did Kiss form? Why call it Kiss? Like what led to the group formation?
Paul, Paul Stanley and I were in another band called Wicked Lester
Mhm.
with three other guys. We actually got a recording contract because we wrote songs and stuff
Mhm.
with Epic Records. I'm just going to swig a little
Go
bit.
for it.
And we didn't believe in the band. We recorded the whole album, and it sounded like Three Dog Night meets Doobie Brothers. Nothing wrong with that, but it just, we loved, we were Anglophiles, The Who and Zeppelin and the Beatles and, that stuff.
Mhm.
Zeppelin, certainly. Humble Pie, even more. And so we walked out on it, having a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush and all that, which you can't say nowadays. Kill me now. Uh, we walked out on it
Mhm.
and decided, this is not what we want to do.
Yeah.
And you got to look back on it and say that was either the most foolish
Mhm.
decision because we already had a record contract.
You had no alternative,
We had an alternative,
but
which is just to shut the fuck up and take the money and
mm,
sing and stop working 9 to 5. The alternative was you no longer had to, do the rat race,
mhm.
as they say. And we went back to square one, just Paul and myself, and eventually found Ace and Peter and so on, and put together the band we never saw on stage. No rules, everything, all that bombast and stuff, based on nothing. We were four knuckleheads with no resume, no experience, no nothing. We didn't know anything. In fact, we didn't even know makeup. There's no manager. One day, one of us, we don't know who, decided, hey, let's go downstairs and buy some, like in a Halloween place, let's buy some makeup and mirrors and put on makeup. Oh, okay, let's go downstairs. Just like that. And we went to, I don't know, Woolworths, one of those.
Mhm.
And there was a kids section, with glasses of water filled with ice cubes with flies in it. They were just plastic
Yeah.
ice cubes with stuff so you could freak out your girlfriend. Whoopee cushions, kids don't know what that is, but you'd blow them up, put them on a chair. So when your girlfriend sat down, it would do that and we would laugh. That's still one of my favorites, one of the great inventions
Classic.
of all time. Come on, you want to put that on the chair after your priest says, "And may God bless you, go to hell," and all that. He sits down, and then come on, that's the great humanizing part of it. And That first day that we put makeup on, we were looking at each other pretty damn close to what we wound up wearing for more than half a century.
Mhm. So
So,
you
and
just
by
did
the
it
way,
and it became the thing to do.
we didn't know there was nobody there saying, "Yeah, you got it." We didn't
Yeah.
know anything. Nobody said the word marketing or used words like brand. That came much later.
Mhm.
It was closer to like when little babies are in the bathtub taking a bath with mommy dutifully watching, and the kids gotta poop, so they poop in the bathtub, and of course they go, "Oh," stuff, and they start just moving it around on the wall and getting off on the design. They say art is most honest, most innocent when you have a child, the younger the better, in like mud. And those images, those things that happen are the most honest representation of art. They're expressing themselves, even though, before there was expressionist art, there was poop on the bathroom wall.
It's quite visual. So the name Kiss, how did that piece happen?
Oh, so well, there are hundreds of books. If you want to do a deep dive, you can pick
Yeah.
up lots of Kiss books. But we're sitting in a car. Paul had a beat up Mustang,
Mhm.
and I actually wanted to call the band once we had Ace and Peter. I couldn't drive. I didn't drive until I was 34.
Really?
Save the money, bitch. No insurance, no nothing. You want to go someplace? Take a bus or a subway trip. You want to impress the girl? Rent it. Don't buy a car. As soon as you drive it off the lot, it goes down 50%. Then
Right.
you've got insurance and flat tires. Mm-mm. So, in the days when a dollar meant everything. So we're driving in the car, Paul's driving, and I wanted to call the band Fuck because there had never been a band called Fuck.
Right.
And I wanted to call the first record It. Fuck It. Second record was going to be called You. Fuck You. And It All would have been the live album. Fuck It All. And then another thing, covers record was Off would be the same. Fuck Off and ad infinitum ad nauseum. And that we never really seriously considered it in the back of our minds. Woolworth or the department stores would not stock
Mhm.
something called Fuck. Although, yeah, let's go see Fuck. I thought that was the height of rebellion. And Paul turns around and says, "What about Kiss?" Just like that. And we all went, like the apes. Ba, 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 boom, 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 boom. And the monolith comes up. You know it when you hear it, when you feel it. It just goes, "Oh, what?" Yeah, that's how it happened.
Wow. So you weren't seriously considering the other name.
I don't, you're talking about more than half a century ago.
Yeah.
So I, when you're, the male mind doesn't mature until you're about 25, and even then takes us a long time to grow up. So, oh, I'm sure of it, and you say things like, "I love you." Fuck that. That means nothing when you're in your early 20s. You're more concerned about your cock, pardon my honest thing. That instrument, it's like the ever ready battery. It never quits. It manufactures hundreds of millions of sperm every day. We can't take Thursday off. In fact, the younger you are, the more apt to have the volcano erupt in your sleep. And if you're 12 and the teacher says, "Okay, the class is over, everybody get up. Johnny, why aren't you sitting up?" He's kind of bent over because Mr. Happy's going, he can't. What's the matter? Can't you control that thing? No, bitch, I can't. He stands up when he wants to. I have no control over that thing. Yeah, that's why some of those guys, when they had hard ons, especially little guys, would walk bent over. They had no control over it. Tell me that didn't happen to you.
You have this band, you have these bandmates, But I mean,
But literally at the same time,
yeah,
I'm a pragmatist. I use the car. They used to have five tires in a car.
yeah,
You get the four, and then you have a spare tire,
here,
but it's a tire. There's not another name for it
yeah,
because you have to have something to fall back on. What's your B plan, your backup plan? Where most people lead life, it seems to me, with putting all their eggs in one basket. I'm going to be a astronaut and know nothing else. Well, if it doesn't happen,
right.
you're washing dishes. So I always had a backup plan. So I always had great jobs
Mm,
because I put in the time at work. I was the assistant to the director of the Puerto Rican Interagency Council, a government funded research and demonstration project, Magdalena Miranda. And I was the assistant to the editor of Vogue magazine, the right hand person,
right.
they used to be called a Gal Friday, and then it became a Man Friday. The female executives wanted a male right hand person. And that's because I could, in those days, take dictation. I could fix mimeograph machines, rexograph, hexagraph, and I could fix those machines. And I took courses in high school wherever the girls went. So I noticed that in typing classes and stuff, it was all girls. So, well, then, righty-o, as Jim Carrey says, that's where I went. But I learned how to type. So then Kelly Girls, which became Kelly Services, hired me, and all of a sudden I'm in the corporate world. In those days, I could type with a dictaphone. You put in a headphones. At
Yeah.
the end of the day, I'd work 8 p.m. until 8 a.m. at Williamson and Williamson, a legal firm in Wall Street. After everybody went home, the lawyers would say, "All right, Mr. Simmons, take dictation to, Joseph Wombat Jr., et cetera, et cetera." They'd talk it over, and then I'd have a foot pedal, and I would type out, and I was pretty good. So I was doing close to 100 words a minute,
Wow. It's a good
and
amount.
everybody wanted to hire me.
Yeah.
And
Well,
probably the most nowadays, I would recommend you don't have that job because I was the only male on the floor at Vogue magazine with all those chicks. And I was, it's like one of those games. I don't know if they have them today. You have this mallet and all these gophers pop up
you
out of
whack
the ground. You just keep whacking them. And
them.
that's what I did. Nowadays, everybody would sue me.
Yeah.
I thought they were putting on makeup and arching their back and lifting and separating and pointing in my general direction because it was me. No, they were doing that for everybody.
When were you able to go full time with the band, or were you just full time when you guys and just
Full
scrap
time.
on?
Yeah, it was full time, but I was the only one in the band that actually had a job.
Mhm.
By the time I was 23, I saved up $23,000 after tax. In those days, that was a lot of money.
Right.
And I still lived with my mother, the classic Jewish idea. That's how we know Jesus was Jewish. He lived with his mother until he was 33 years old. And of course, his mother thought he was God, and he actually believed his mother was a virgin. And then he went into his father's business. That's a kike. But I lived at home because I didn't want to spend, the money. So I was able to save up a lot of money. So we had a safety net. Paul and I, uh, Paul sometimes drove a cab and sometimes not. And he also made sandwiches in a sandwich shop in Midtown Manhattan. And because he had, big hair, he had to put all that in a hair net. Otherwise, the hair would fall into the sandwiches. That didn't last long. But we had a safety net, which is money. That's why I always talk about money, money, money.
Uh, so
Even God,
that helped you last.
pardon me.
That money helped you last for a while.
Well, it happened very fast.
Mhm.
But from the time we recorded the very first album, within a year and a half, we were headlining Anaheim Stadium.
Wow, that quick.
And yeah, that quick. This is before voicemail, when phones were still rotary phones, where Superman still had to go into a phone booth to
Uh,
change to become Superman. And no digital, no MTV, no cassettes, no CDs, nothing. It was records.
yeah.
And in those days, I find it's much more honest. In order to prove yourself to the fans, you had to get into a damn car, station wagon, with the truck following. You had to go from city to city to city, like the old-fashioned Democrats and Republicans, city to city, and connect with the people.
So that was what you did. You basically just started kind of touring around to get your music traction, and then you got to that
Oh
point.
yeah,
That
oh
was the
oh yeah.
way.
We we toured. Oh, 6 days a week. There were shows. Bang, 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 bang. Right after a show, get into the car, drive, try to sleep in the car, stop off on the highway, poop on the side of the road. You did whatever you had to do. Of course, an expert like me doesn't have to wipe. I just let it crust off. I just let it dry. But that's another story.
Yeah. So that was a year and a half. Um, I mean, I'd love to just talk about like also just some of the incredible songs you guys have made and like how they even happened. Like I mean, rock and roll all night. I mean, it's an incredible song. Like, how does something like that even come about? Was it by chance? Is it just happen
Well,
on tour?
we we were on our third record. The first two did okay. They were not big sellers, but we were selling out everywhere, selling out big, big places and doing multiple shows. Something was going on what the Germans called Zeitgeist, that that water cooler conversation. And have you heard about Kiss? People started talking about it,
Yeah.
and I can speak some German, so I can tell you what that stuff is. And tell me the question again, so I can
Yeah. How did
formulate the right word.
rock and
So
roll
rock
all
and
night?
roll. So we're touring. We have to go back in and do the next record. And our record company president, Neil Bogart, said, what you guys need is an anthem.
Mm.
And like four knuckleheads, we looked at each other. What's an anthem? What's an anthem? And he explained it. It's sort of like a song. Nations have national anthems that espouse the melodies that are makes you feel something, but also the words relay the message of what you believe in a rock band. And we thought, that is the most astonishing idea I've ever heard because our favorite bands never had anthems.
Mm.
Beatles don't have an anthem. Uh, Stones, Hendrix, no anthems. So what do we stand for? So we had, by the way, we were making $75 a week on the road. When we headlined Anaheim Stadium, we made $85 a week. All the rest of the money went back into the stage show and all that. But we didn't care. We didn't work 9 to 5. They were chicks. We were having a great time. And, who cares? And we had a weekend off, which was rare, in San Francisco, staying at a seedy motel because you couldn't afford better. And we all went down and bought canned beans and hot dogs. And I remember Peter dressed up with an apron or something and called himself the chef. Who knows what he put in there? And that was like a feast. You can have as many beans as you want. Good for your heart. The more you eat them, the more you fart. And we were talking, Paul and I especially, were talking about this idea of anthem. And he went off and wrote, what do you believe in? And he came in with, I want to rock and roll all night and uh, and party every day, not just once a week,
Every day.
every day, because that was our lifestyle. And I said, well, wait a minute, I've got a song called Drive Me Wild about a guy with a girl, twin orbs in the night. You drive, you drive, you drive me wild, I'll drive you crazy. So we put Drive Me Wild with Rock and Roll All Night together, so the verses and all that, stuck in the keep on shouting, you keep on shouting, which also became shouted out loud, the shouting, celebrating the joy of life. And Rock and Roll All Night happened. It bears noting when it first came out on our third record, it barely broke the top 40 as a single. Then the live record came out, and there was a live version of that, and that was massive. Alive, which was a double album. In those days, nobody did live albums until the end of your career,
Mm.
right? You didn't play Holiday Inns until it's all over. You don't do live record was I have no more songs. Here's some of the old stuff. But we were noticing the live event was really what Kiss was about, less about the studio. There were studio bands, Pink Floyd and the Beatles, who crafted that music. We didn't have the patience. We just wanted to get out there, chicks and rock and all that. And the Alive record became the second platinum album of all time. In other words, 1976,
Huh.
the RIAA changed the rules because more records were selling more. And the first record that became a platinum album, a million or more sales, was Hotel California. About an hour later, Alive 1 became multi platinum, but that was a double album.
Hmm.
So success, and within a year and a half, there used to be something called the Gallup poll, where they used to go around and ask a sampling of Americans all over the place, what's your favorite movie? What's your favorite thing? And Kiss was the number one band in the world for 3 years in a row, 77, 78, 79, above the Beatles, Led Zeppelin, Bee Gees, you name it.
What was that like for you when that happened?
What
When
do you mean was, bitch? It's bigger now than ever. We
yeah,
have we have the Kiss Museum at the Rio Hotel in Las Vegas. There are Kiss cruises. I mean, it's insane.
yeah,
A matter of fact, in a few weeks, we're going to Washington, D.C., where the president's going to give us the Kennedy Center honors and all that. And I can't tell you who the notables are going to be who are going to come out on stage, but your jaw will drop. You go, what? I didn't know he was a Kiss fan.
that's amazing.
And but quite frankly and honestly, even though we appreciate it, if Trent Reznor says a kind word when I was a kid and I grew, or Lenny Kravitz, or just any number of Mike McCready at Pearl Jam and Kirk Hammett at Metallica and whoever, I cut my teeth on Ace's solos and all that. I mean, it certainly means a lot, but there's nothing, and I mean nothing, and I think it's true for most bands,
Mhm.
to seeing the lights come on in the eyes of a young child who just becomes enthralled, just uh, like in The Exorcist, when the demon enters your whole body, you live Kiss, you breathe Kiss, it's more than music,
Yeah.
because we all like different songs from different bands.
Mhm.
And the only analogy I can point to is the Swifties of today. Yes, the songs are cool and she's wonderful. We know her, but it's more than that. It's almost a gathering of the tribes,
Mhm.
right? In fact, you can YouTube and Schmootube and press the buttons, put in Taylor Swift, Kiss band makeup, and you'll see Taylor and the whole band come out in Kiss makeup and do that thing. But the Beatles had that. It was called Beatlemania. We
Right.
loved the Stones. We loved Hendrix. That didn't exist. They were just popular, really popular. But when there's something else going on, it's almost cultish. You're a
Mhm.
member of that, and there's a connection. And it even happened with a few bands that I had never got, like the Dead. I never got it. A fat guy with a beard who plays his guitar up there. I don't get it. Was not what I thought of as a rock star. But Deadheads to this day are going, that's my band. And it's sort of national pride, if you see what I mean. My flag, my people,
Yeah, it is.
which is bigger than the songs.
Yeah. How did you continue to
So
make
who was yours
what like which my
when you were little putz? Who did you go? Yeah, that's my band.
it
Or
wasn't really bands as much when I was there. I mean, I'm 25, so it was more individual artists. And I liked a lot of like kind of hip hop adjacent stuff. So like Teo Cruz was really big when I was growing up with Dynamite.
who?
But I think it's Teo Cruz with Dynamite. That song was huge, and now he's
Never. I'm
yeah.
sorry to say I've never heard of Taylor Cruz. I've heard of Pablo Cruz. I've heard of Taylor Swift. I've never heard of Taylor Cruz.
Well, Bieber was getting big when I was growing up as well. So there was a lot of that. And then a lot of these EDM artists like Calvin Harris and Skrillex and guys like that. There hasn't really been as much of like what you did, like these rock bands today, I feel like some of these younger rock.
Well, the difference, if you're lucky enough to have this tribalism, they will put our faces, specifically kiss faces, tattooed on their bodies
Yeah,
for life.
that's a
Where
big.
would you say is the perhaps most unique place I ever saw my face in makeup with my mouth open?
I mean, I have an idea.
Well,
That really happened?
you know the phrase "go fuck yourself."
Yeah.
I did. So imagine, and the gateway to hell is right there. The mouth and the eyes are a little bit above,
That's wild.
and the chin goes down to the tisn't. You know what the tisn't is, don't you?
No, what's that?
Tisn't this and it tisn't that. It's right in between the place between
Okay,
the thing and the exit.
right. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Now, so and the fans name their kids after us and have kiss conventions and you name it. Do you mind
Yeah,
if I take my jacket
yeah,
off?
sure.
I'm going to leave my pants on if that's okay.
It's up to you. Um, yeah, I mean, when you think about like relevance, like you were talking about here, like I mean, Kiss has
Oh,
been so
I don't
relevant.
care. Oh, no,
You
no,
don't
no,
even
no.
care
You just brought up a subject I could give a fuck about.
because it's always been popular.
No, that's not. Well, there's popular, and then there are words like relevance.
Uh,
Who determines relevance? Critics?
mm,
Who? What
fans,
is that? What is that word? How do you get the you're relevant? Who does that? Or is it the American idea and ideal of the people, for the people, by the people? The first words are we the people.
hmm
That's relevance to me. The fact that, for instance, Iron Maiden is not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when they can sell out stadiums, and Grandmaster Flash is.
right.
Ice Cube and I had a back and forth, and he's a bright guy, and I respect what he's done. It's not my music; it doesn't speak my language. And I said in print many times, hip hop does not belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, nor does opera, symphony orchestras. How come the New York Philharmonic doesn't get the rock and roll? Because it's called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But he shot back and said, no, it's the spirit of rock and roll. Okay, fine. So Ice Cube and Grandmaster Flash and all these guys are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I just want to know when Led Zeppelin's going to be in the Hip Hop Hall of Fame.
Mm,
Oh, you can't do that. Oh, really? No. Music has labels because it describes an approach.
hmm
By and large, rap, hip hop, it is a spoken word art. And you put, beats in back of it, and somebody comes up with a musical phrase, but it's verbal. There are some melodies, but by and large, it's a verbal thing. It's rhyming and all that. And I know Eminem can go. I I wish him more success. I really don't give a fuck. It just doesn't speak to me with the genius of being able to put words and music and arrange it. It's much more complex. Here, I'll show you what I mean. So, without any explanation, Lennon, McCartney, but also Harrison, no experience, no nothing, were able to write perfect songs. Here's what a perfect song is. if you like Satisfaction, you like it. Go, bam, 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 bam. I got too excited. So Satisfaction starts off with the riff and so on. It takes a while to get to the chorus. So Lennon shows up and he says, I got a song for you. He goes, oh, great. What is it called? It's called Help. How's it go? Help, I need somebody. No introduction, nothing, just bang. And McCartney says, well, I got a new song. What's it called? Yesterday. How's it go? Yesterday. Oh, you got another one? Yeah. Hey Jude. How does that go? Hey Jude. And the hey part starts before the band comes in. He goes, hey, by himself. Then the band comes in. Jude. That's when the band comes in. That's a perfect song where you don't have to worry or wait until the chorus comes up. And often you start off with yesterday and you end with because I believe in yesterday. It ends, bookends with the title, which is the beginning, which is iconic. And very few songs had that. Charlie Chaplin wrote a song called Smile. That was a perfect song. You know how it goes?
Yeah.
Smile, go smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, though your heart is aching. And at the end, it goes, when you just smile, fuck me. How do you do? And you go, oh, I'm going to do one of those. Try it. It's the hardest thing in the world. One other thing, if you're a songwriter, and they'll explain it to you, there's something called a pregnant pause,
Mm.
right? Here's what doesn't work. Yesterday, all my troubles seem so far. You don't care about yesterday because it just becomes a part of the noise. But if you go, yesterday, pause. All my trouble, you go, right?
Yeah.
So help, pause. I need somebody, help, pause. Not just anybody. Try to write a song like that. You can't.
Yeah. I didn't
You
think
know,
that.
Harrison got close.
Mm.
Something in the way she moves. Something is part of the phrase,
Mm.
which is why when something first came out, I had a quizzical, like, what do you mean, something? Didn't quite resonate, but the song certainly did.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll teach this stuff. I actually do. I teach,
Oh, really?
yeah, people how the tools. You can show them the road. You can write songs. I can teach you how to write a song. It could be shit, but you will write your own songs because everybody hums in the shower. Mostly you're making up your own melodies. Now stick some words into it in some kind of beat. May
Mm.
not be good.
Yeah.
Nobody may like it. The hardest thing to do is to write a simple, memorable song.
Mm.
Much easier is to do EDM. Watch, here's my impression. Boop, boom, boop, boom, boop, boom, boop, boom, boop, boom. And the guy goes yeah, up and down. And yeah, yeah. What instrument are you playing? I don't know. Boop, 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 boop. And by the way, I'm a fan of it. I love anything that makes people happy.
Mhm.
But in terms of talent,
Uh-huh.
am I in a garage band? Am I gonna take boop, 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 boop? And I got to do that because it's so memorable.
Mhm.
No, there are no tribute bands to Skrillex.
Interesting. Maybe because it's also hard to replicate.
Nobody covers those songs. And by the way, I love when you go to an EDM concert, I love the passion and the fans taking crack and sticking it up their ass, whatever they do. I've never been high. You're 19, you're trying to get laid, you can't form a sentence. So you take some medicine, and then all of a sudden you're fluid and things happen. I understand the ritual. It's tribal. Boop, boop, boop. There's not a garage band, a new band that goes, fuck, the Swiss mafia have got this thing that I love. Let's try to do a version of it and play it in the club.
Mhm.
Nobody does that.
Are you happy with the state of music today, or do you think it's going the wrong
No, I
direction?
think it's wonderful. I've seen some amazingly talented people, but the saddest thing of all is that the industry, the business, it's always been called music business.
Hmm.
The fools, the hippies, the socialists, the communists think it's called music. No. Even in the Renaissance, the only way the classical musicians survived is that they had to be sponsored, right?
Mhm.
Mozart piano concertos and all that. Somebody had to pay for that. So the guy, a king or somebody, I want a three minute thing. We're all going to have dinner and Beethoven's fifth, blah 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 blah. You know all that. The king said, "Hey, after food, we're going to gather on the lawn, and I want a thing with a big thing." And of course, he was deaf. This is all true. He was deaf, and he
Right.
was able to write from his mind
Incredible.
all the parts of the musical instruments, which is talent that's beyond. And he noticed that when the royals would eat, often he'd have music. They'd have music in the Renaissance, which is how you pronounce it, and lilting. So they'd fall asleep, with violins and everything. No, he would ba 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 ba, and uh, he'd have he ba da 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 da. He'd have real cannon in back there going off and scaring the crap out of them. Before ACDC, there was Beethoven,
Yeah.
and he did that just to, hey, wake the fuck up. It's my music. Give me my respect. So there's a lot to learn here, kids. The biggest problem is that the next Beatles, the next Elvis, not going to have a chance because record companies don't give out advances. There's no business. Fans are downloading for zero next to it. So if you're a musician, you can't get paid for your art.
I don't even feel like we see people like that today that even try to do stuff like that.
You can't. It, it's I've seen so many talented musicians, artists, singers, like all these people that get up on The Voice and American Idol. A lot of people have talent. They'll be back at the Holiday Inn singing, "Hang On Sloopy" or something. But I was going to say the following: 1958 until 1988.
Mhm.
That's 30 years. Elvis Presley, the Beatles, Hendrix, Stones, Pink Floyd, like you can go on. Music that still resonates to the highest degree. Beatles just had another number one.
Pretty incredible.
By the way, that includes Bowie, Prince, Motown, almost the heavy bands, uh, AC/DC, ourselves, if you like. We came out in the early 70s. Aerosmith. Your favorite, what's called classic rock or pop or all that. And then from 1988 until today, where are the Beatles? Where's Hendrix? Where's that pivotal artist
Mm,
that shakes the rafters? You have popular artists.
mm,
Taylor has been the most popular artist, perhaps of all time, that does not move the needle. New bands don't form and say, let's do 10 Taylor songs.
mm.
No, that's fame versus something deeper. So when you go to see a bar band, they're going to be playing the song. They'll play Freebird. They'll play Satisfaction. They'll play the songs that have stood the test of time. There are a lot of, you know what the biggest songs of all time was?
No.
Gangnam Style. This
Oh yeah, I
Korean guy.
remember.
Billions of downloads. Hey, Macarena, kill me now. All that stuff. They were massive. Does that move the needle? No, it's good fun.
Interesting.
Yeah, like sugar. You get that, and then it's gone.
Mhm.
Very few things stick to the bones.
Gene, just the last question I have, like,
I never touched her.
no, just like, what do you want to do now? Like, what do you feel like you haven't done that you want to accomplish? Is there anything that you kind of are is top
Well,
of mind, goals, stuff like that?
we have a film company called Simmons Hamilton. Our first film is called Deepwater with Sir Ben Kingsley, Aaron Eckhart, uh, Rennie Harlan directing. Rennie directed one of the Die Hards movies. We
Nice.
have a second film coming up right away. There's a restaurant chain I'm a founding partner called Rock and Brews. You can go to rockandbrews.com. two of them at LAX and across the country, and now they're rock and blues casinos. You don't have enough hours in the daytime. There's the Gene Simmons band, which tours. We headlined the Sturgis bike rally, which had 500,000 people there.
Amazing.
Uh, I play when I feel like it and do speaking engagements for corporate entities. You don't have enough time to figure out. I cannot, despite, I make a living. I've got a roof or a few roofs over my head and enough food for generations and generations. But the real thing about life is once you've got all the accolades, and we've been to the mountain and back. We have this Hollywood Star Walk of Fame and this award and that award, and now Kennedy Center honors and all. Those are it's appreciated. And at one point, not too long ago, we were America's number one gold record award-winning band of all time
Yeah.
in the group category, not solo singers. Elvis obviously was number one. So the awards are nice. The money's cool. Love the money. In the early days and stuff, chicks, great, all that stuff. But the sign of a real champion, my friend, is the day after you've got bazillions of dollars and you deflowered all the flour, done it all. Will you get up out of bed or will you just be sitting on your thumb waiting to die?
Mm.
Because every day above ground is a blessing.
Hmm.
Every day above ground is a good day. That's my mother's motto in
Right.
Hungarian. And if this is a gift from God or whatever you want, what are you going to do with it? If you only had 24 hours of life, and some insects only get 24 hours, they mate, they reproduce, and then they die. 24 hours. What are you going to do? Just watch an I Love Lucy rerun or or play Black Ops yet again? What are you going to do? Me? I'm going to go out there and shake the world and plant as many flowers, be kind to people, try to create some jobs, do that stuff. So that you know it feels to me like a lot of people, and I don't know the numbers, are disappointed in the lives and the decisions they've made. I woulda, coulda, shoulda. Why didn't I do that?
Yeah.
Been there, done it, did it. Never been high in my life, never been drunk, never got high in a dentist chair, of course. I never smoked cigarettes, which is why at 76, I can hold my hand up here and it doesn't do this.
Right.
Try to put some sand in the fuel of your car. It doesn't work. By the way, I would understand it. I would understand drugs and booze if it made your schmeckle bigger, if it made me richer, better looking, live longer, more money, more chick, more, improved life. But actually, it destroys you. There's
Yeah.
nothing in it. If you drink enough, your schmeckle won't work. You'll probably throw up on the new shoes your chick bought. The next day, you'll have a headache, and it costs money. I don't get it. But it's true that I own the money bag logo, and I do have a vodka out there, and I have sodas and just a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's what you should do, so that
Lessons.
when they grab you kicking and screaming and try to stick you underground, my stone over my head, if I'm going to go that way, or I might go up in a blaze of fire, should say thank you and good night. Thanks for the ride. It's been a hoot. You know,
Yeah. It definitely has.
don't let a day go by where you just dream. Do something about whatever it is you want to do. Mostly you will fail, but that's the only way you succeed.
Right.
What
Right.
doesn't what doesn't kill you makes you stronger.